We are live. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Hack Shack Studios. I'm Thibert, and we're going to be talking for the next hour or so about The Gods Fear Me. And with me is Mike Murphy. How are you, Mike Murphy?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm doing good, doing good. We were talking a little bit off the air, and this is, they say it's the most wonderful time of the year. I think it's the craziest time of the year. What do you think, Mike?
It really is. I mean, it's that thing where like everyone's all over the place emotionally and physically. Like, sure, there's a lot of goodwill and people being nice to each other, but at the same time, there's people who are jet lagged and like frayed, and it's a roller coaster, man.
It's much like an Indiegogo campaign, isn't it?
It is, man. That month that you're running it, it's a marathon.
Yeah, and like you said, there's an emotional aspect that you do not anticipate, and no one talks about it. But it is a roller coaster ride emotionally because you're getting backers, but sometimes you're losing backers. Sometimes you think you're gaining momentum, sometimes you're not. You think like you nailed it with like some kind of promotion, and then it just dries up for a couple days. Like you just got to keep trying and stay in the game. Is that how you found it as well?
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, this is our second campaign now, and man, like there's nothing worse than like a period of like 2 or 3 days where there's no backers. You're just like you just feel like you're dead in the water.
Yeah, and it doesn't get better, right? This is your second campaign. It's still just as wacky, right?
Yeah, no, it's how it is. I mean, like somehow, like if you know your product and if you know what you're doing and if you trust in your skills, like somehow things work out in the end. But yeah, I mean, when you're in the middle of it, it just feels like it can feel like, oh, I have no idea how this is going to turn out.
Right. So this The Gods Fear Me is book one. What was your first Indiegogo then?
Yeah, our first Indiegogo was Samurai and Dinosaurs, and we had to run that campaign twice. The first time around, which was almost a year ago now, I was really, really fresh and green to the whole Indiegogo scene and crowdfunding, and kind of, kind of. I always say I did everything wrong, and the first campaign was the marketing for the second campaign.
Yeah, definitely. That Samurai and Dinosaurs, that book looked really good. Who did the cover? Because I remember that cover really stood out.
Yeah, that's the one and only Kelsey Shannon.
That's what I thought. I didn't want to say it because I wasn't absolutely sure, but yeah, that's pretty cool. How'd you snag Kelsey? Just threw a bunch of money?
Yeah, I promised him Clark once he's of age. Clark's my son, by the way. So no, what happened was the last night of funding, we needed like I think something like 12 or 13% before we reached our goal, and Ethan had me on one night when he was doing a stream, and we got there within I think like an hour and a half, and Kelsey was one of the people hanging out, and I remember my introduction to Kelsey was he was like, just give me an elevator pitch for the book, and I was like, well, it's the movie that Kurosawa and Harryhausen never made, and he was like, just shut up and never say anything but that ever again. That's your pitch for the whole book. I love it. And so we got to talking from there, and yeah, he really dug the concept, and we worked things out, and here we are.
Well, that campaign did really well. Was that a one and done? Are you going to revisit that concept?
Um, it was designed to be a standalone graphic novel, but by the time we got to the end of the campaign, and now that like we're getting the books back from the printers, hopefully after New Year, um, there's been ideas for potential sequels. It's just a matter of scheduling and landing an artist. So For 2020 and probably 2021, there won't be anything on the samurai front, but I think by 2022, we might be in a place where we can revisit it.
That'd be cool. Yeah. So, are you going to write these as self-contained stories, or are you going to do like cliffhanger, like monthly comic book type stuff?
I like with all the stuff that we're doing here, for like the indie slash CG scene. Everything we're doing is meant to be standalone. Even the Gods Fear Me, like, sure, it's book one of three, but I'm treating each individual volume like a condensed season of like a short British TV show, where it's like 6 episodes and like one and done. I like the idea of like obviously there'll be a cliffhanger for all of our stories, but I like the idea of when the reader gets to the end of each of these books, they feel like they've had a complete experience because, it's going to be the better part of a year before they see the next installment of whatever it is.
Yeah, I think that's the better way to go. I was like with Black and White, I was thinking I could do like volume one, volume two, and kind of keep them coming out. But the reality is they take a lot longer to produce these books since I'm doing everything, writing, penciling, inking, art directing, the lettering, and even the coloring. So it takes a while, and then there's all the administrative stuff, and then the promotion. So the reality of it is, I think those one and dones or standalones are better way to go. You can still have like you can revisit those concepts and those ideas and future stories, but I think it's better for the Indiegogo crowdfund kind of campaigns. Sounds like you're a little bit ahead of the curve than I was anyway.
Oh, I don't know about that, but I'm well. I mean, thank you. Like I studied like the first 6 months or so that I dove into the whole scene. I really studied the way people were handling campaigns, and I the people who just treat it like a regular issue of a comic. Like I'm not trying to throw shade at them or anything, but as you said, with the marketing, promotion, and then the waiting game for getting the books printed and fulfillment and all that. I mean, that's a huge chunk of time that people aren't getting the next installment, and it's a huge chunk of time to completely forget what even happened and what they read. So if it's just this like 24-page experience, like unless it's a one and done story, I don't know that the reader is going to have a lot of carry through coming into volume two. Like they're going to have to do that thing of like rereading it once or twice over the next year to be like, wait, what happened?
Yeah, yeah, and it's so funny because coming from a world of monthly comics, I realize why it takes so many people to make these things happen on a monthly basis.
Exactly.
It's a lot of freaking work, man.
It's ridiculous, man.
It's
Yeah.
funny.
Yeah, it's crazy.
It's all good though because I'm enjoying the hell out of it. But I'm sure you're like me at the end of each day, Mike. That you're like, what happened to the day? And then you start going over like what your notes were for the beginning of the day and what you ended up achieving at the end of the day. And then there's
Right.
usually 3 or 4 things on the list that you didn't get to.
Yeah, for sure. Like I've got a daily schedule on my computer, and it always has like 5 or 6 things listed on it. And by the end of the day, I'm pushing like at least 3 or 4 of those things to the next day.
Yeah, and then it just makes the end of the week even worse because you're feeling like, oh my gosh, somehow I got to try to make these things up. I have to still finish this. How am I going to do this? So you end up, probably putting an all-nighter in. But the best part about it is it sounds like I'm complaining, but I'm really not because I find it it's inspiring for me. I'm definitely outside of my wheelhouse here, and over my head. So every day I feel like I'm kind of like treading water, but it's exciting, you know what I mean? Because I just don't know what the next day or what the next series of challenges is going to throw at me. And after 35 years in the comic book industry, it's kind of nice not to be on that, rock solid ground and not know what tomorrow or what the next thing's going to be. So I'm having a ball, man. I'm enjoying it.
Yeah, and you seem like it, man, and I've been really happy to see your output thus far. I'm really looking forward to getting my copy of Black and White, and one of the first things I'll be doing in 2020 is backing Chrono Mechanics.
Oh, very cool. Thank you so much, Mike. Speaking of that, you want to get into your new campaign here?
Yeah, sure. Let's go for it.
All right, brother. Let me hit this button here, this, and then this, and then The Gods Fear Me, book 1.
There you
So
go.
give your pitch.
You got it, man. So The Gods Fear Me is the love child of Ghost in the Shell and Call of Cthulhu. 200 years after the fall of man, androids roam the wastelands of Earth, hunting down the elder gods who killed us all. One android in particular, Kedzie, has abandoned her duties and is hunting one alien in particular, the Puppet King, who's responsible for disfiguring her in combat by cutting off her arm. It's during this quest for vengeance that she crosses paths with Brian, a young boy who may be the key to saving what's left of mankind. Book 1 deals with Kedzie struggling to choose between her obligations towards humanity and her thirst for revenge. It comes in at 32 pages. The base book is $15. There's 2 planned sequels for the near future, and we'd love to have everyone listening come along with us for the ride.
Wow, how are you getting this epic story in 32 pages? Holy crap.
Yeah, it's there's some condensed storytelling, but again, like we're planning on doing 3 total installments, so really it'll end up being like a 96-page graphic novel.
So are you kind of structuring up like a beginning, middle, end, but each one kind of has a resolve at the end of it?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, we're gonna be using like every trick we can. Like so for the opening, to get a lot of the world building stuff out of the way, if you remember what Morrison did with All-Star Superman at the beginning, like he basically condensed Superman's entire origin down to like 1 or 2 pages. And I basically stole that and used that same trick to get past a lot of the world building stuff and get the reader into the world as quick as possible.
I like that. I like that idea. I like those kind of comic books too. Sometimes I don't know. After, do you remember that? What was that show called? Was it 48 Hours or 24 Hours or whatever that TV show was? And it was all like real time. I think it was 24.
Oh yeah, 24 with Sutherland, right?
Yeah, it was each an hour, and I think that was an idea that everybody was playing with 10, 15 years ago.
Right.
But I think people are because it takes a lot longer to tell a story that way. Even like the Ultimate Spider-Man, the way we were doing that book was like kind of almost day to day. But it really does slow things down, and I think you can do it with something like Spider-Man because everybody knows where it's going to go, so they can be more patient with it. But something like The Gods Fear Me or Chrono Mechanics or Black and White, you kind of got to catch them quicker. And so I do like that idea of just kind of a quick origin, and then people are going to have to kind of pay attention or catch up to what the world has to offer and what the situations of that timeline and that reality are. Looks good, man.
Thank you.
It's a great pitch. Who's on the art here?
Yeah, that is Kristen Rossi. He's from Argentina. He's a big Alterna artist. He's done a couple projects for them. My introduction to him was a book called Trespasser. And right now he's currently working on Voidwalker for them. He's incredible, and you know, that Trespasser book. By the time I got to the end of it, I had that thing of like, I don't know who this guy is, but like he's on my bucket list of artists that I want to work with, and yeah, like I eventually became acquaintances with Peter Samedi and asked about him, and Peter was like, "Oh, Kristen's always taking on projects when he can," and yeah, like me and Kristen got talking, and he really enjoyed the pitch, and the only issue was scheduling, but we eventually worked that out, and here we are.
Very cool. Who's on the colors? Is he doing colors as well?
He does do his own coloring, but for the sake of the schedule, or his schedule, I should say, he really wasn't able to this time around, so I'm handling the coloring myself.
Nothing against your coloring, but I like the black and white stuff.
Oh,
This,
I know, man. Well, so where we're where we're at is the book was pitched and marketed as black and white up until we hit the 10K stretch goal, which we're only about 1,500 away from. So as of right now, it's technically a black and white book, but I think within the next week or so, we'll hit that 10K goal.
oh yeah, yeah, and I don't want to inspire anybody to keep it where it's at because of the black and white. I think you should just do a separate campaign or offer it as the black and white because this is really nice.
Yeah, I had a thought as either a part of this campaign, like if we, by like March or April when we're ready to shut it down, if we cover all of our stretch goals, maybe introducing like a newsprint tier where it's just in black and white, or maybe holding off for a separate campaign for that, but we'll see.
Yeah, especially look at the cityscape.
Yeah,
I want to blow this thing up so I can see it in greater detail. I'm so used to looking at things in Photoshop and things that I can blow them up, but yeah, I can't, and that's disappointing. So the character with like the long sword, oh, that's her. Okay, so she's putting the outfit on and then she's kind of blasting out of the top of the building there. So
yeah.
she can fly.
Yeah, I've had a lifelong obsession with jetpacks and the Rocketeer. Uh, so, like, I've always looked for an opportunity to have my own jetpack hero. And, I started thinking about all the different size Lovecraftian monsters out there. And I'm like, well, she's going to need some way to scale some of these guys. So, jetpack popped into my head and I was off and running.
That's cool. What's the black ooze that she's coming out of?
So Kedzie at the start is coming out of essentially like a manufacturing factory, and like it was meant to mirror the opening of Ghost in the Shell, where we see the Major being constructed, and she's formed out of this. I don't want to say protoplasmic, but it's kind of like what they do in Westworld, where like they're formed, and then the last step is to have the skin kind of like formed onto their android shell.
Okay. So this is kind of her skin coating that she's coming out of.
Yeah, yeah, it's like a cool down slash birthing pool, like final stage of manufacturing.
Oh, that's awesome. You're talking my language, man, because I love all those things that you're influenced by here.
That's awesome. I'm glad to hear it.
Yeah. These are your colors. It's pretty cool, man.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, I wanted to go again, like pulling from specifically Cyberpunk and Ghost in the Shell and Blade Runner. Even though the city is functionally dead, I still wanted it to have that like popping neon feel to it, which I really think is going to contrast nicely once the characters get out of the city and start heading out into the wild. Like that's where we'll start getting a lot of browns and grays and greens.
Well, what is it? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 panel, second to the last. Colors are really nice, man. You frame this in, and I like simple kind of knockout color like this, so you can establish the planes. So you got the foreground where the building that she's coming out of, and the sound effect and her flying are red, so those are connected. And then you have the midground, which is that green, and then you have the other midground, which is that purple. But it also frames in the composition the green and purple, and then you have the new colors, which is the bay there. And I assume those are monsters, right, that are coming across the ocean there. Mike, are you still there? We lost Mike. Yeah, I think that's what that is. So I'm not sure what to do here. Let me see if I can go back. I'm going to stop sharing and see if I can work through this. Okay, here we go. Are you back, Mike?
Yeah, that was weird.
Mike?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah, I think you were dropped from the chat, so I'm glad I did come back. I was going to do your whole pitch myself, but yeah.
That was weird. It just kicked me out for a second.
Yeah, when I came back, you were gone. All right, well let's go back. So
sure.
I think it's heating up, man. It's always that way, right? Just when you're starting to get a good movement going, getting a good head of steam.
Yeah. I was listening intently, and all of a sudden, everything just went dark. I was like, "Wait, what?"
Well, I was bragging on your coloring on this panel, and so what I did is I ended with a question, and I asked if those were monsters coming across the bay there.
Oh, yes.
Framed in by the smoke and the buildings. Okay.
Yeah. Basically, so with the whole Lovecraftian angle, I wanted to pay homage to all that stuff, but at the same time, I didn't want to strictly say that it was the Lovecraftian mythos, because I feel like there's a lot of people out there who have done that stuff really well, and ultimately, when you deal with a story set in a Lovecraftian universe, everything kind of boils down to the end of the world and the main character going insane and that whole thing.
Yeah.
And so I was like, well, if we take humanity off the board and, we have these androids stand in to defend what little is left of mankind, with their cybernetic brains, they wouldn't be affected by these ancient ones at all. So now it kind of becomes, well, what can we do with these beasts and monsters? So I created a whole pantheon of there's the really big guys, and then the medium-sized ones, and then there's the almost human-sized ones that are at ground level doing the dirty work.
The ground level ones are actually probably more frightening because you can't see them coming. I always thought we did an X-Men, and the Sentinels in the X-Men are always big, so they can do a lot of damage, but you always know they're coming. And then I think it was a Scott Lobdell story where they were more kind of like Terminators. They were humans, and they actually could infiltrate and pass for a human. And then I was like, oh no, now this is really frightening. It's kind of like a T-Rex versus a raptor. The raptors are always more frightening because they can go pretty much anywhere you can, and they can get into any place that you can. These giant, monsters can't. And also it's harder for the giants to see you than, something that's ground level,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. It's, the big guys are there pretty much to do damage on a planetary scale. They're altering the currents of the sea. They're causing mass insanity on a global scale. But the little guys are the ones that are doing the real damage. Like the Puppet King, who's the main antagonist of the book. He's called the Puppet King because he has these tendrils that shoot out, and whatever they stick into, he can reanimate. So he can kind of bring the dead back to life.
Is that who this character is in the second panel?
Yep, that's him.
Yeah, this is a great page, man. This is your hook right here. It's a great layout. The drawing's really strong, and that character design is pretty cool.
Thank you. Yeah. Me and Kristen spent a lot of time like making sure these 3 pages were as tight as they could be, because we knew that ultimately the entire campaign was going to be ran off of them.
So this thing cuts her arm off? Is that right?
Yeah.
Holy shit. Sorry, man. I'm just seeing this for the first time. I'm like, whoa. This is not good.
Yeah, no, like so like I really wanted a fully fleshed out, rounded out female character for this story. And you know, I mean, we have these conversations all the time, and we just got done having it again with Star Wars, and I didn't want anyone for a second to think that I was going to go down like the Mary Sue stereotype with her, where like she's perfect and there's nothing is a threat to her. So I was like, well, the easiest way to get that across is to have her fail the very first time that we meet her.
Yeah. The hero's journey, yes.
Exactly. Gotta build her up.
Yeah, can you cut this villain's tendrils? Like if they came flying at her, could she cut them with her sword?
Yeah, she can. They could totally be cut.
All right. But there's just so many coming at her. It'd be pretty tough. Wow, that's good. That's a great way to set all this stuff up. Oh man. Yeah, the coloring, you can definitely tell what's going on, and that's good, man. Clarity and storytelling.
Thank you.
Okay. Well, before we get into stretch goal stuff, you want to talk a little bit about your tiers?
Yeah, sure. Let's run through the tiers really quick.
Okay. Do you have your featured? Yeah, there's your featured. The swag bag.
Yeah, so the swag bag is the book and the prequel novella, but you're also going to be getting a trading card, 2 postcards, a poster of the cover, and a sticker.
Wow. That's a lot.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, no, there's going to be a ton of stuff going out to all the backers, because there's a bunch of freebies that a bunch of other like CG and indie guys helped us out with during the campaign. So people are going to be getting so many bookmarks and so many postcards. It's ridiculous.
Well, you guys keep in mind there's the swag bag, but spoiler alert, there's stretch goals involved as well. So you're not just going to get all the swag bag, but you're going to get the stretch goal stuff too.
Yeah, exactly.
Wow, that's pretty crazy. Yeah, so this looks like it's usually the best tier, the most bang for your buck. So starting off really strong there. So we have the Million Eyes. So this is the PDF.
Yeah. So the digital prequel copy and the digital copy underneath it, you know, those are both the prequel and the standard book, you know, the digital editions. I go back and forth on digital, but ultimately I think for the time being, like, I'm going to keep them in our campaigns. But, you know, who knows? Maybe one day I'll stop doing them. But, you know, it's a great way, especially like for some overseas backers who just can't afford the shipping. It's a great way to get them the book somehow.
Yeah, I'm kind of the same with PDFs. I offered them with black and white, but I didn't with Chrono Mechanics. And I think I might do a separate campaign down the line for PDFs. You know, once all the hard copies and all, you know, the collectible books have come out. I'm also, I want to do this so bad, but I don't know how to connect it. But somehow where we can connect all the CG books via like digital, like like a site where you could download, and then you could not so much cross-reference, but you could kind of get turned on to other books, in the I don't even know what to call, because we're not quite publishing, but in this group of IPs, where once you're done with your Cyber Frog story, it could recommend your book or my book or somebody else's, and then they could kind of keep reading the digital copies that way.
Right. So like building up our own comicsology almost.
Yeah, kind of thing. And then what would be neat is in time if we could connect, some of the universes, or at least maybe do some kind of through storyline, even if it's just a like subplot that
Right.
somehow builds into an event.
Right.
That could be cool. I think it would be almost impossible to do, but it's kind of a thought that I'm always thinking, like, how could we connect a lot of this stuff up, even in marketing and advertising, where we could advertise the other book and things like that in our books.
Yeah, I know some people have explored that. Like what is it? Vaughn and Cal are doing that crossover with Monster MD and Shinobi Sasquatch.
Yeah. I think the future is, all the above. That's another reason I'm so happy to be part of this group, is because the sky's the limit, man. Like, I can call you up, or I can call Vaughn or anybody, and we can just jam. We can put books out. We can share ideas and stuff like that. And for the most part, it doesn't seem like anybody's ego is out of sorts. Nobody's going, oh, I'm better than this guy, or any of that kind of pissing contest stuff. And man, I don't know how we've gone a year without it, but because I was there at Image, and yeah, there was some pissing contests early on. Yeah, there was what do they call it? Peacocking.
Exactly. Yeah, gotta show your colors. Yeah, man, like I don't know, like I really dig this whole scene and everyone in it. It's just, everyone's out to like make good product and tell good stories, and like being on the fringes of the industry for like a decade, it's so refreshing to see people who want to build others up instead of tear them down,
Yeah. And for the most part, it's working. And then, as one gets built up, then they bring another one up, and so on and so on. And when you have that kind of structure, it's never going to end, as long as the generation that, or I'm just saying, not actually generation, but the generation before,
Sure.
brings up the one, and then that one is now on that level, and then he can bring up the other. And as long as you keep doing this, you're always going to bring new talent in, and then it's always going to keep rising to the top, because it's a ladder, it's a rung system. Right. So it's going to constantly get better and better and better and build. I don't know if there was an actual master plan, or this thing just kind of happened, with a bunch of like-minded people. That's gonna come later. The historians can figure that out.
Right.
But for the most part, man, it is a killer idea, and it is working. So, sorry to derail your tears here, but
no, man, not at all.
Yeah. So then we have the single physical copy now.
Sure. So that's just the bare bones book on its own. Yeah, that's been doing pretty good for us, but thankfully people seem into the swag bag and some of the other higher tiers.
Yeah, so this is the 38-page book, hard copy, and it's still black and white at this point, right?
Yeah, at this point, I believe it's like 1540 or something like that before we're at 10K.
Okay, we'll get into the stretch goals later. So what is this?
Yeah, so that's our alternate cover by Preston Acevedo. he did. He ran the campaign for Doc. Oh man, I feel so bad. I'm blanking on Doc. Well, anyway, Preston's pretty new to the scene, but he's going to be doing a book next year with Micah. It looks like a fantasy epic. I'm really looking forward to that one. And yeah, just out of the blue, like Preston reached out to me and he was like, here's this image of the Puppet King, and do whatever you want with it. And I was like, could I run this as a cover? And he was like, yeah, just leave it as a pencil cover, but go ahead.
Is there a full image of it in the campaign?
Yeah, further down the screen.
Okay. I'm
Yeah.
gonna depart from the tier just so they can see this cover, because that little snippet looks pretty amazing.
Yeah. Almost
there.
there. There you go.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, very cool, man. So this is so basically it's a variant cover tier.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah, it's still just the book on its own, but it's Preston's cover.
Well, let's see how many you moved here. Where are we? Where are we? Where are we? Did I pass it?
No, you're almost there.
Wait a minute. Oh, okay. There it is. All right. 20 claim. That's pretty good. That's pretty damn good.
Yeah, and we also have it set up as an add-on item, and we've moved some of those too. So I think it's like around 35 or so that we've moved.
Yeah, let's get some more sales and more backers for this tier, because those alternate covers, if you don't get the print runs up, they can be expensive to print.
Yeah, for sure.
The per unit cost. Physical and prequel novella. So is this a hard copy still?
Yeah, those are hard copies of each. So the prequel novella, what I wanted to do with this campaign is, I thought back to the heritage of Lovecraft and pulp stories, and the prequel novella is going to cover from the point that the Madness Engine awakens 200 years ago. It's going to cover the fall of man. It's going to cover the creation of the Android manufacturing line, and it's going to take us all the way pretty much up to page 1 of the main comic. So if you want some of that condensed lore that I was talking about earlier, if you want some of that expanded upon, that's what the prequel book is for.
Wow, this is looks like one of your more popular tiers as well. That's a great deal for that price.
Mm-hmm.
Is this color or is this black and white?
The prequel novella is going to be just straight up prose with spot illustrations, and the spot illustrations are probably going to be in black and white.
Okay. Does it have a color cover? Or
yeah, so the color cover is also further down on the page. It's right after the stretch goals.
Okay.
And yeah, I did the color cover myself.
Oh, killer. Okay, so then we have the international exclusive.
Yeah, so that's what I stole that from your boy Zach. It's a solid idea, and I find it's really helpful. Basically, if you're overseas and you have a buddy who wants to get in on the book too, but shipping is kind of a pain, I'll send 2 sets of the books out in one package and knock $10 off of what the total price would be to have them sent out separately.
Oh, very good. So this is the buddy system here.
Yeah.
So if there's anybody outside the United States that has a friend and wants this book, this is the tier to back. Killer. Okay, so support the troops. We got 110. So is this the main book?
Yeah. This is a carryover. This was one of the tiers that we did for Samurai and Dinosaurs. It's the base book, and 2 copies get shipped out to you. and 3 copies get shipped out to the military via Operation Paperback.
Oh, very cool. So for shop owners, these are like kind of bulk rate setups, right? For comic shops.
Yeah, it's just straight up 10 copies. It's not exactly at the diamond discount, but it's pretty close to it.
Okay. So how much does it break down per book?
If the base fee is like 15, I want to say it's like $7 or $8, like somewhere in there.
Yeah. So any retailers, this is a pretty good deal, man. And are these coming signed as well?
Yeah, right at the start of the campaign, I make sure to mention that I'm going to be signing every copy. I'd love to have Kristen be able to sign them, but just logistically, that's impossible.
So the shop owners are going to get signed editions as well.
Yeah, they are, and same with the Operation Paperback copies.
Wow, that's a great deal for shop owners. Man, any shop owners listening, get on this because it's not only a discounted version of the book, where you can make significant, your money back, but also they're coming signed. So through Diamond and, these different distributors, you can't get that.
Right, exactly. Yeah, I mean, with CG, I really do believe in the ideal of like, selling directly to our customers. But at the same time, just because I'm not involved with Diamond on a professional level, that doesn't mean I'm not willing to help out like individual businesses. So I've always said any of them that reach out to us, like we're happy to like get our books into their stores.
Oh, hell yeah. Yeah. And I don't have anything personally against Diamond, but working at Image in the day, some of those checks that you have to cut to Diamond,
Right.
they hurt. It hurts
Oh,
really
I
bad.
can imagine. Oh man.
Yeah. Okay. So then we have get drawn into the book. Yes. Oh my gosh,
Yeah,
you got 2. That's
I
cool.
know. Yeah, we got 6 left. So yeah, like so I said that, most of humanity was wiped out. What little is left has been put into cryostasis in these giant sleeper cities that are kind of built on top of the husks of older cities. And so Kedsi's going to be passing through 1 or 2 of these sleeper cities during her journey. So most likely you would be in one of these sleeper cities, but without going into too many spoilers, there may be an opportunity for you to be out and about in the world towards the end of the first book.
So you're talking about multiple panel appearances for people, or?
It may be multiple panel appearances, but it would be contained to 1 page.
Oh man, that's a good deal.
Yeah.
That sounds fun. Whenever I see these, I always wish I had the money because that would be fun to
Right.
get, myself drawn into one of your books. Especially if I have a cool death scene.
Yeah. Specifically, one of those people who backed said that they wanted like a great death scene. So I got something worked up for him.
Yeah. Okay, so then we have an original page, tier 350. That's a great deal for an original piece of artwork.
Yeah, and so all of these, page 1, 2 are still available. Page 3 sold. All of them are being shipped from Argentina by Kristen himself, and it comes with a copy of the book as well. So that'll be shipped out from me. So you'll be getting 2 separate packages.
So is this image that's on the tier? Is that the page that they would be getting if they back?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
This is the killer page, you guys.
Yeah, I know.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
Yeah, that and the 3rd page with the Puppet King. So immediately that was the first one to go.
Yeah. Okay, so these are different pages. Page 2.
Right.
And then we have schemes and scams. What's the deal here?
Yeah, so this is our this is our big mega perk, and basically it comes with everything. It comes with everything from all the other tiers. Plus, you're going to be getting a proof copy of the book, and you're going to be getting an 11 by 17 illustration done by me and my wife, who is also an illustrator. And you're going to be getting the original art for page 32, the last page in the book. So it's going to be a huge splash page, cliffhanger.
Killer. So is the picture with the girl with the tendrils and the eyes looking at her, is that your artwork?
Yeah, that is.
That's the cover of the novella. I see it
Yeah.
ghosted here. Okay. So stretch goal bonus. So now we're into the good freebies and upgrades. So let me go back to the total so we can have a point of reference.
Sure.
For the stretch goals. Okay, so you're at 8,460, and we'll refresh this before we call it a day. 216 backers. It's pretty killer, and you're in demand. Okay, so then this one is at 8. So you already opened this one, right?
Yeah. So everyone who backed the book is going to be getting a trading card from Ethan and 2 postcards from Carl O'Rowe.
Wow. Killer. Okay, so then the next one is 10,000, is that right?
Yeah, so that'll unlock full color for the interiors.
Very cool. And so 12 is Donald DeLay provides main cover. Main cover? So you don't have a cover yet for the book?
No, not yet. The cover is, hopefully we'll cruise past 12,000, but assuming we don't, the cover is going to be the last thing that Kristen produces.
Okay, but it will be drawn. It will be a cover drawn for the book?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Wow, that's interesting the way you're doing that. I've never seen anything done like that before. Usually you lead with the cover art.
Yeah, this was something that I talked about with a few different people and with Kristen. So what I had to weigh in my head was like, as a publisher, I could afford to pay for either 3 pages of story or 2 pages and the cover. And I went with the 3 pages, my thinking being like, well, that'll showcase the most of the book to potential backers. But what I might do in the future with other artists for other campaigns is 2 pages of story plus one, plus the cover.
Very cool. So at 15 we have the square. So then at this point it becomes more like the true graphic novel format with
Right.
a square bound spine. This turns me on to no end because I wanted to do it with Chrono. We were able to fund and do it with black and white. It is an expensive process, you guys, but man, it looks so dressy and it looks good on your bookshelf, doesn't it?
Yeah, man. I mean, look, I'll always love single issue comics, but especially as I've gotten older, like my main thing is like trades and prestige formats. I love having stuff up on my shelf.
Because also, you guys keep in mind if it's going to be square bound, you're also going with the heavier stock cover, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's quite an upgrade, and that's only at 15K. So let's work on getting us there. And then I'm going to go into this is the cover you were talking about, right? The one that you did?
Yeah, so that's the cover for the prequel novella.
Very cool. The day they arrived, we died. I love comic books, man.
I know, it's so great, man.
I just love that shit. The horrific tale of ancient alien gods and the fall of man. I want to so much ask you, like, this isn't the fall of man, right? It can't be. Say it isn't so.
Oh no, it is like, I mean, right out the gate, like 70% of mankind is just wiped off the board.
Oh man. But it ends happy, right?
I mean, maybe, yeah, maybe.
Maybe. That's why I say I want to ask you so much, because I want to know.
Sure, sure.
I'm definitely one of those guys that, when I pick out like novels and stuff to read, I go right to the end page. I read the
Right.
overview, and then I go right to the last page.
Yeah, I mean, like, let me put it this way. It's like, it's not going to be Cormac McCarthy level of depressing, but things are going to get dark before they get better.
I love stories like that, man. I love that, as equally as dark as it gets, if you can uplift even beyond the darkness, those are the best stories, man.
Yeah, I mean, look, there's room for all stories, and sometimes I do enjoy like the real depressing downer endings, but I don't know, man. I like, for me personally as a storyteller, like, I want people to feel good by the time they're done with one of my books.
Yeah. I think the downer endings work for me as well. I don't go to them as often just because they're emotionally draining.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
if they have like a great point, like it's like, like all good sci-fi is, they're kind of cautionary tales, right? It's like,
right.
Frankenstein, is one of the original, sci-fi. It gets in the horror genre a lot, but it really is the truest of the true sci-fi kind of ideas. And I really like where, the stories can get really dark and then leave you hanging there, but with a question, like a good sci-fi question, like, should we do this? Should we pursue, meddling, into, like in Frankenstein's, like reanimating the dead, that type
Exactly.
of stuff. And then, then at the end of the story, you're just kind of asking yourself those questions, like, maybe we shouldn't, and maybe we should.
Right.
Maybe if, Victor wasn't as nutty as he was, maybe it could have worked. Maybe in a more
Ex-
controlled environment. You know what I mean? Like, all those questions come up, and I love that stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, man. Yeah, same here. Like, I don't know. I dig all genres. Like, whenever people are like, "Oh, I don't like crime comics," or "Oh, I don't like superheroes," I'm like, but it's all stories, man. Like, I like everything.
Yeah, I definitely have things that I like more than others, but I even say this about country western, which I would never go out and seek that as music, right?
Well,
But if
sure.
there was if there was a great country western song, you know what I mean, and it connected with me, hell yeah,
Right.
man. I mean, there's some Johnny Cash stuff that I absolutely love. I have the Johnny Cash greatest hits, but I would never consider myself a country western person.
Yeah, I was gonna say the exact same thing. Like, I don't like country at all, but I think about it and it's like, well, no, Mike, you were raised on Johnny Cash, so you kind of do.
Yeah, there's stuff that I do. The Oak Ridge Boys. Most of it's more old school stuff,
Sure.
because the newer stuff is kind of like, it's like the Eagles. So it's kind of rock, more pop rock, kind of with a twang. You know what I mean?
Right, right.
But yeah, I don't want to go off on too much of a tangent. I want to ask you about the color on this. Is this your color here,
Yeah, that's me.
dude? You might have a future here. Look at this.
Thank you.
You gonna start moonlighting as a colorist?
Yeah, I mean, look, my day job is I freelance as a writer illustrator, primarily like out of comics. So I do this stuff all day, and if anyone wants to reach out, like, I'm happy to add some of that to my plate.
Oh, very cool. Very cool. So, wait a minute. Oh, you just grade the what? This is different color. What is this?
Yeah, that is so that's a postcard of the panel that all backers are going to be getting, and that's so Narwhal, to help out while we were doing the campaign. Narwhal contributed this piece. He recolored it himself.
Yeah, I recognize the style.
Yep, that's my guy.
Yeah, this is cool, man.
Yeah.
Okay, so wait, what is blowback? Wait a minute.
Yeah, so like I was saying, like our backers are going to be getting so much content, regardless of what tier that they backed us at. So Blowback is going to be a free PDF that everyone's getting. It was written by Alan Calamari, with a cover by Vic King, and the reason they offered to donate this to the campaign is because the interiors were done by Kristen.
Okay.
So you're kind of getting twice the Kristen for the price of one.
How dare you use a gun sight in your logo?
But hey, I didn't do the cover.
Yeah, the black and white one's still a little different. It's got
Hmm.
yin yang in there. Yeah.
I'm not
Okay.
trying to hone in on your territory.
Nah, I'm just kidding. I'm just
I
giving you
know.
crap. So is this? Wow, is this one of the interior pages
Yeah,
of Blowback?
yeah, yeah. It's only I believe it's like between 8 and 12 pages, so we didn't want to post too much up, and also we didn't want to like confuse people and get them unsure of what was what. So it's just the one page that we have previewed.
Well, I have to ask you because I am confused. So, how do they get this Blowback book?
Just by backing. Like if you back digitally or physically, you're going to get it. It's as a PDF.
So this is a stretch goal. At what price is that?
No, no, no. It's not a stretch goal. It's included for all backers. It's a bonus.
What?
Yeah.
You know, Mike, you and I got to talk after this stream. You are way
Oh,
too generous, my friend.
okay. I mean, it's honestly, man, it's not me. Like, while the campaign was running, like I had a huge amount of support from so many people. Like, you know, um, I had Passion for Drawing and Simon Sim, Alan Calamari, all these people, Narwhal, all these people were like, hey, like here's content, like just add it to the campaign, and it was really amazing to see.
That is really cool. The power of CG. Okay, so this is your variant
Hmm.
and a second promo video. Very cool, man. Yeah, you're giving a lot of bang for the buck here.
Hey, we
So
do what we can.
yeah, anybody that hasn't heard, this campaign is in demand right now, and I hope I'm not giving anybody vertigo scrolling that fast. But excuse me, The Gods Fear Me, book one. There are going to be 3 of these books, and how long is it going to stay in demand? I saw, what was it, an April date?
Yeah, so April was our original estimate. That's going to have to be pushed back till about June, because we had to extend the second 30 days just to hit the last bit of funding.
Okay.
And that kind of threw some scheduling stuff off for Kristen. So we're aiming for June, and we're probably going to shut down the in-demand store around April.
Oh, okay. All right. So there's still a little bit of time into the new year, you guys, but it really does help. Just keep backing as these campaigns go along, and not wait till the actual, like the absolute last minute. It helps. It'll help out Mike's nerves too, because he'll see that it's still working.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, look, we're in the holiday season, so I'm expecting things to be a bit slow, but like middle of January or so, like I'm gonna be hustling hard all over again and promoting it as much as possible.
Okay, I'm gonna hit refresh as promised. 8460. 8,460. Well, very cool, man. You got 216 backers. And this campaign looks great, man. You got a lot of support. You're giving away a lot of content. So this is a great deal, you guys. So please go back Mike's book, The Gods Fear Me, book one. Just to give kind of an ETA in case anybody has this question, when do you think book two is going to be up and running?
Yeah, so in total, we're looking at doing 3 campaigns in 2020, and The third one will be book 2 of Gods Fear Me, and that should be October-ish, like maybe a little bit sooner than that, but most likely October.
Okay, and that's going to have the same art team on it?
Yeah, exact same art team.
Okay, very, very cool. Hey, would you mind me promoting a little bit Chrono Mechanics?
Please.
Okay, let's see if this works. If I just click this. Okay, it did work. Yes, Chrono Mechanics is my book, and it is now in demand. They do more before the dawn of time than most people do all day. We are at 27,672, and the other day, man, we had a little bit of heat, man, and it felt good. The
That's
heat
awesome.
felt good, man. So we have 396 backers, and this is probably going to stay in demand until we get into the printing mode. And so basically, Chrono Mechanics, they are time repairmen, and time is literally a big machine. It is a nuts bolts clockwork cosmic machine built in the very fabric of the universe. And so this machine is massive. So Chrono Mechanics govern, repair, and maintain the big machine. There's a company called Chrono Incorporated who hires these mechanics, and teams go out and repair the machine. And so this story here is a 48-page graphic novel, which we have just increased by 6 pages. So we unlocked that stretch goal. So thank you guys very much. You will have a bigger book. And I keep saying it, I got to get in and I got to change that 48 pages and add those 6 pages to it. And so this is Team 9.2 of Sector 7. And these are the best of the best knuckle-busting time repairmen that Chrono Incorporated has ever had. And so this story will focus on these guys and on a new recruit. So you can see this is like what's wrong with this image kind of thing, where you have the 3 mechanics and then you have this one guy holding a guitar. like what the hell's going on here, right? This doesn't fit the image.
Right.
So that's what the story is about. We're going to see if this rock star from the 70s can become the best of the best time repairman and be worthy of Team 9.2 of Sector 7. So we're going to see if he can step up and become a Chrono Mechanic. So that's what this story pretty much is about. And I'm just going to give you a highlight. Here's some of the pages. So when you get some time, you guys go, there's a link. There's also a link to Mike's book as well in the description. So you can click on that, and there's a link for Chrono as well. And you can scrutinize these campaigns and see if you like them and then back them. So these are some of the interiors. This is kind of an introduction to the world. This is Doug's introduction to the bigger world of the Chrono Mechanics. So think of it as Alice in Wonderland or Dorothy going to Oz kind of thing. And so let's get into more of the highlights of the campaign itself. So we have a work in progress sketchbook, which is going to have all kinds of working drawings and different I think it's going to have the animation pitch, not the whole pitch, but it'll have some of the Warner Brothers, the Kids WB pitch in there. It'll have the first appearance of Chrono Mechanics, it was an 11-page pitch as well that went to Fox TV. So parts of that are going to be in there, and just a lot of working drawings and behind the scenes stuff. And it's going to be in a different format. So it's going to be horizontal versus vertical. So you'll open it like a calendar or a centerfold. So I thought that would be pretty unique and a fun, different way of reading the book. Here's some of the drawings that will be in the book. Boom. And so then we have variant covers. We have one by Sean Cheeks Galloway. We have Doug by Tom Bancroft. We have Zinn by Aaron Lopresti. And then we have Carlo Barbieri of Caravaggio. And so we have posters. and prints. And then we have our stretch goals. So this is the fun stuff, and this is where, like what Mike's doing with this campaign, where we get to thank you guys, and upgrade the book. So you guys unlocked the first 4 stretch goals, which were the set of superstar trading cards. So you got all 4 of those. And then at 15, at 16, you got this one-of-a-kind collector card, which is kind of a redesign of the first cover. So check, you got that. You got your button or badge. You can wear it, with honor on your chest or on your backpack. And then we have the 19K, which is the lucky pick, Doug's guitar pick. And this is not just a pick. This is a character in the book, you guys. You'll have to read the book to find out just what that is. Okay, my wife just walked in and she gave me a big howdy hi.
Oh,
Is that to the whole chat too?
what's that?
A howdy hi?
Howdy, hi. That's
Howdy
fine.
hi. Hey, Pamela, this is Mike Murphy. Pamela, my wife and co-writer on Chrono Mechanics.
Hi, Mike.
Hey, good to meet you.
So what are you getting back from?
The post office,
What were you doing at the post office?
mailing black and white, and I got yelled at along with one of the post office workers.
What did they yell at you about?
Well, this woman felt that she waited too long. There were 5 people open, but she came up and right in front of me too. She's like, "This line is ridiculous, and this one is. These 2 are having a social hour." So I said, "Yes, we're having tea and crumpets." And one of the ladies said she has a lot of packages, and she said she shouldn't have that many.
Oh no!
Why not? Is
That's
there a
what I
rule? Is there a
said.
law?
That's what I said. I said they're here to take packages.
Well, just everybody who's backed Black and White know the books are going out, and that Pamela is fighting the good fight for you.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
her in the nose.
That would have been it's a pretty good story, but that would have ended with you in jail. So,
Yes, it would have.
so that could have ended, would have been an epic tale for another live stream.
Oh,
All right, so she's taking off. She gave you guys a howdy hi as she's leaving. So yeah, that's Chrono Mechanics. So you guys, please, when you get some time, check it out, and check out Mike's book as well, The Gods Fear Me. That sounds like an epic tale, Mike. I cannot believe you're going to get a solid story in 38 pages.
Yeah, we got this covered, man.
Yeah, well, very cool. So I'm going to scroll up, and then I'm going to refresh, which sometimes works and sometimes does not. You guys, and make sure you click on these cogs, because these cogs are quite entertaining. They have quotes from famous people throughout time. So 672, and we are the same. So like you were saying, Mike, it's people are more in like Christmas mode at this point.
Right.
So it gets a little tough. But like with you, after the first year, probably towards the end of January, I'm going to go big time into promoting Chrono again.
Exactly.
Yeah. So I'm sorry, everybody in the chat. We've been gabbing and mostly focused on campaign stuff. So I'm going to go back real quick and just peruse and see what we have, and just make sure there's nothing of the utmost importance. So we have Rob in the chat. We have Rhaegar Targaryen. Howdy hi. That's going to be my thing. Howdy hi. Adam Post. We have Comic Book Bob. So we have King Crow. Max. Welcome, everybody. And if you could, please hit that like button, smash it really hard, give me a thumbs up, and it helps the algorithms and will help get some eyes on these campaigns as well. And if you could tweet them out as well, because then we can get some more eyes onto Mike's campaign as well. So do you have a parting shot, Mike? Do you have anything you'd like to leave everybody with?
I mean, thanks to all of our existing backers, and we'd love to have more. This has been a labor of love for both Kristen and I. And for more updates on the project and just keeping up with me in general, you can find me at chibi_Mike on Twitter, and you can find me on YouTube at the Chibi Mike, all one word.
Oh, very, very cool. And continued success, my friend. The book looks great. The concept is really strong. And man, I think it's one of the best bang for your buck campaigns that I've seen in a long time. So continued success, Mike.
Thank you. Likewise, man. And I hope you have a great new year as well.
Yeah, you too. And yeah, I'm going to be doing some drawing later, you guys. So I'm going to bring together some of the black and white sketches that I had offered. So I'll be doing those live for you guys in a little bit, probably after I eat some lunch. So thanks. Take care. And thanks again, Mike, for coming on. This was a blast.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
All right, man. Take care.
You too.